Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guests today are two new residents of St. Andrews, both two accomplished actors, both in Canada and Hollywood. Please welcome Karen Waddell and John Ralston. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you.
I was going to list some of your projects, but there are so many. I'd love to hear from you both. What are some of the projects people would most know you for? John, I'll start with you.
Yeah. I mean, being a Canadian actor, so we have a reputation of being really versatile. I think we've had to do that. I've grown up through theater, TV, film. Probably the thing that I get recognized the most for is a great show that the Family Channel did. I guess now it would be what, 15, more than 15 years ago. So it would be Life with Derek, that Disney picked up and aired for years. So Life with Derek, we did four seasons of that show. So Life with Derek was sort of family-oriented, blended family, and it just was the little Canadian show that could. And we filmed the first season in Newfoundland, of all places. Not too many people know that, but we filmed the first season in Newfoundland, and then we went back to Ontario and filmed the remaining 3. So really a hugely popular show. And since then, we've gotten together on a number of little projects also that sort of that would spin off of Life with Derek. And then most recently, I had the opportunity to go to Budapest and Croatia with Alexander Skarsgård, an actor that we both love. And then Mia Goth. So Mia Goth is, I think she's just, she has wrapped Guillermo del Toro's new Frankenstein. Which I can hardly wait for. Anyway, we went, and it was directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who's the son. David's son, and it was a wonderful show called Infinity Pool, and that went to the Sundance Film Festival a couple of winters ago and did really well. So, from one end, Family Channel to...
Your IMDb, both of you are incredible. It's just this long list of... John, everything from Degrassi to Ginny and Georgia from Netflix.
Yeah, Ginny and Georgia. So, but like I said, I mean, I've had that opportunity because I don't know whether because I started in theater. I mean, I did everything in theater, and I started basically in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. I did everything from puppets to musicals to, modern, Irish drama to Canadian drama.
Pokeroo?
Yes.
Stop.
Yeah.
You played Pokeroo?
Well, so...
I am a child of the polka dot door. So.
So polka dot, that was actually one of the first times I think I was ever, or the first time I was in front of a camera. So I did two seasons of Polka Dot Door, and I was just this young theater. Young theater actor. But I know. Actually, thanks for reminding me. But that was a seminal point in my. I thought, oh my goodness, because even from the Maritimes, I sort of knew that show. That was really quite fun. Yeah.
And you were both on Bomb Girls, which I want to talk about a little bit. Karen, let's talk about you. You have a Christmas movie that people will know you from that just came out. 'Twas the Date Before Christmas.
Right.
So that's one of your most recent projects. Where can people watch that now?
So right now it's playing on the W channel, and I mean, if it's part of your package, but I just talk into my remote and it comes on. So I'm really old school, really simple that way. So it's been playing since I think the beginning of November, sort of it's one of the new ones of this year. So it's in rotation with all the new ones. And the funny thing is that I was trying to leave the business in some ways, and I got a call saying they want you, Hallmark wants you for this, and I said, oh no, I've got all this going on, I didn't know, but it was one of the leads of this film. My agent, didn't tell me this, but So it was a really, it was like an A-list cast because a lot of people had not worked in a while because of the big strike in the States, which affected us in many ways. So when this, this small film came up, it was, fairly large, it was okay, big cast. It was able to attract a lot of A-list actors. So it was such a dream to be part of because some really funny people were there, and everyone, like I remember the director going, "Oh, you guys cut it out, like you're just giving me too much, I can't decide what to do, like what takes you want to do here." And we laughed, and we all really cared about the project. So, and it's a little bit of a different show in that it's not so sappy, in that it's a bit of a, I would say, dysfunctional family, like trying to work things out, like normal families at Christmas coming together. A little bit of sadness, a little bit of happiness, and but at the end, of course, we, I don't want to give a spoiler, but don't all Hallmark films end that way.
St. Andrews is a Hallmark town, so the fact that we have a Christmas Hallmark actress here is quite incredible.
As soon as I came here, I said, that we have to make a film here. Like, this is just perfect. It's idyllic. I mean, who knew in Canada we had that, perfect Hallmark scenario here, yeah.
And that this is my moment to turn to the camera and say, Hallmark, are you watching? Did you hear this? I agree with you. I'm waiting for the day we have a Hallmark movie here. I wonder, though, the reason you were thinking of maybe leaving the industry, that might have to do with your work as an instructor, as a stress reduction instructor, and something that you were bringing to the community.
Yeah, I guess around 10 years ago, I had an incident where we were staying at a hotel of all things, and a luggage cart ran away and hit my head, and it was quite an impactful hit. And I was told that, not much, I probably wouldn't heal from this thing, and I didn't accept that. And so I ended up, make a long story short, I ended up in a class called Mindful-Based Stress Reduction. Never done meditation before in my life, even though I think as a child I used to do it naturally in the woods. But I got in this course and really cynical, and by the end of it, I actually dropped all my medications, all my pain medications. And I was so, I couldn't believe it that I took it 3 times just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. And then I said, this has been so powerful for me, I'm going to learn to teach this. So I ended up entering into social work and into UMass Medical School, and then I ended up at Brown to be one of the few certified teachers in Canada of mindful-based stress reduction. So it's a meditation for health, for optimal mental and physical health. And
I understand this course that you're doing in St. Andrews starts in January at the Wesley United Church. Tell us a little bit more about how people can register.
Yeah, so I'm really excited that, because since COVID I've been going online, and I teach all over the world this course in the corporate sector and so forth, but here we are in St. Andrews, and I thought, there's a lovely church in town, Wesley United Church. It's already set up. It's a nice, beautiful space. There's a lovely labyrinth there as well, because we'll do some walking meditation in my course. So yeah, I'm going to do it at the end of January. I won't have to limit it. Usually I'm online, I limit it to 10 people. I'm opening the door because it could be 20, 25 people if you wanted to do, and we'll just be sitting in a circle. And it's not a drop-in, it's every week. It's an 8-week sort of standardized course that builds upon each other each week. And it's quite transformative. Yeah.
I would imagine as actors, that's something you have to do, I'm sure, regularly before you get into character, before you go on set, is to get into a state of mind where you do feel at peace with yourself and the character.
Well, it's not just peace, it's just, I think that's why this meditation came to me, or able to utilize present moment awareness so easily, because you cannot act unless you are present. I knew something about being present. You can't be 10 minutes behind yourself or 10 minutes ahead of yourself. You have to be right there. Otherwise, it comes off as ingenuine. What's the word? Is it ingenuine?
Yeah, disingenuous.
Disingenuous, yeah. So I knew something about living in my body, and I think that's why I like acting. And I realized when I did Twas a Date Before Christmas, I kind of miss it. I want to do more again. I could do both, I'm sure. But that lovely feeling of being in the present moment, it's just so open and so spacious and so joyful and so at peace when you're just right here and you're not ahead of yourself. the mind goes ahead of yourself quite a bit and tells you a bunch of stories that aren't really going to happen, and it likes to linger in the past and rehash all that stuff that it's done. Let's just be here now and deal with this moment. So that's what acting is for me. Yeah.
I will have you back. I would love to have you walk us through a meditation back on the show before it starts.
I'd love to do
that. But
that.
I'd love to know what I'm sure everyone at home is wondering right now is, how did you both end up in St. Andrews? We're so grateful you're here.
Yeah.
I know you're originally from New Brunswick.
Yeah. I have a sort of a history here. I was born in the Miramichi. Most of my siblings were born in Nova Scotia. In fact, all of my siblings were born in Nova Scotia. But I was born in the Miramichi. My dad was in the Air Force, and so he retired shortly after I was born. We ended up in sort of Fredericton, but my grandfather and my dad grew up in St. Stephen. And my grandfather worked for the CPR, the Canadian Pacific Railway, and had built a small place here, just down by the lighthouse. Still the original, I think there's like 3 structures that were original structures in I think it was 1920 or thereabouts. So so we divided our time always between Fredericton and St. Andrews. And life happened, and eventually the kids grew up, moved away. My father passed away. My mom and then left here, went back to Fredericton, and basically we sort of had no more relationship with the town. And I was in Ontario. Karen and I got married, although we got married here.
Yeah, we came back here to get married in the Anglican Church with Reverend Matheson, who's still here to this day.
Yeah.
He remembered us.
He did.
28 years ago. 28 years ago.
Yeah. So, years went by. My mom eventually passed away not too long ago. And I found myself back here. They're both buried here. I found myself back here, and they were just short visits, and Karen was with me for both visits, just for a couple of nights. Then the next time it was just for a day. But I noticed, I've always loved this place, and it just sort of re-solidified itself in my memory, and seeing the town. I thought the town looked great. It was a really big change from back in the 70s and early 80s. And I thought, well, something's good is going on here. And just through a series of circumstances, we were debating about a move back east.
Also, too, COVID happened, right? And even though actors need to be based in Toronto for a lot of the work, when COVID happened, all of a sudden, we couldn't go down and do our auditions at the regular facilities where we usually go. Everything became online, so we were self-taping within our home, building little studios in our living room and that.
Yeah.
And I also went online for some of the work I did. And so we just said, if we're both online, why do we have to stay in the place that, we really don't want to be?
And the business
Let's
never
get back and do it from here.
And everyone thought the business was going to get back to it, and it never quite did.
Yeah.
So the idea of in-person auditions, which people really miss, some people like them, some people don't, talking about stress. But the world, it became a world of what we call self-tapes. So you're given the material, you're in your living room with a curtain or whatever, and you tape your audition and send it to your agent. So it became clear you didn't really have to be in Toronto. And so, we went back and forth and said, could we swing, possibly a move and still audition? And we just thought we'd take a chance. And came down here one fine June weekend, and we found a place, and
48 hours.
Went back, and hence more stress. Had to get a house that we weren't planning on selling up for sale really fast, and we did it. We jumped in the car in August and headed down here, trying to beat the moving truck.
Yeah. But the minute we arrived here, it just felt right.
Yeah.
We were meant to, at this time of our life, just to come back. It was the right time to come back.
Yeah.
I mean, just recently too, I was away in Victoria doing something, and as soon as I arrived back again, there's something just sort of settles in you, and it just feels peaceful. And maybe it's that Hallmark thing again. It's like it just feels like this is a special place. It really is, and the people. Oh my gosh, the people that we've met. Someone was saying the other day, we don't need to introduce you. I mean, everyone is so friendly. We've met so many new friends here. And I've just enjoyed everyone. Everyone's so kind.
I feel like if Hallmark came to town, they wouldn't have to write a script. It writes itself.
Exactly.
I always joke that there's the only thing we've done wrong in St. Andrews is cast too many leads, because there's a lot of plot in our community. But the stories write themselves.
But there's there's musicians here. There's artists. There's all people from all walks of life in St. Andrews. It's such an eclectic.
Howard Bear, I think, even wrote music for Sesame Street. He did a lot of CBC music, too. Are you finding that New Brunswick, from your lens as actors, are you finding that the industry here is improving, too, that there's Hemming House and
I mean, it's got a ways to go, and that was one of the things that I thought about, if I were to move back to this province, I did a feature film years ago in St. John, and it was like St. John, I look back and it was to double as Boston. And I thought, I remember being on the streets there and going like, this is so much. And then St. Andrews speaks for itself, but the coastline, the Miramichi, all the areas of New Brunswick. But, I mean, New Brunswick just is a bit behind the other provinces. So Nova Scotia's made a commitment like 20 years ago to lure film,
with the tax credits and that.
Lure film and TV into the province. So there's no reason why New Brunswick can't do it. And I said if I did go back, that I would certainly try to make sort of connections with the government and, get a sort of a film development corporation going here, which most other provinces have. I mean, it's a huge source of revenue. Like, it's unbelievable, the revenue that and can come in. So it's got plus, all down the line. But it means a long-term sort of commitment,
There is a brand new government, so it might be an interesting time to get that started.
Exactly.
If you're looking at talking to younger actors, what would your advice be, especially someone who might be in New Brunswick and thinking they have to leave to get a start? What would you say to someone who wants to get into this industry?
I mean, we're of that generation that did theater first.
We both came from theater.
I know that a lot of people, especially that I meet in Toronto, young actors, haven't done theater. I'm always of the belief that if there's any way at all that you can do a play, get on stage, do anything like that, then you start to work muscles that need to be worked as an actor. When I was starting out, I wasn't planning to be an actor. I have a teaching degree from University of New Brunswick. I taught for a while in a First Nations community in Cape Breton. I found myself studying music a little bit and ended up at St. Francis Xavier University and just literally tagged along to an audition for a Godspell. It was the play Godspell musical, and ended up getting the part. I really, for all intents and purposes, had never been on stage. I had been on stage more actually than I had plays that I had seen, and just found a connection. So my route was sort of doing plays. I sought out people that had some knowledge, and I would try and take classes or whatever with them. So I would maybe come up to Toronto, and there was nothing really going on. I had already been to university. I know you can go to university as a young actor. There are plenty of places in the Maritimes to go and study theater. If you're really, really adventurous, you've done some plays, there's a whole wealth of places in Toronto as a young actor you can go to and take sort of short courses. A couple of studios that I know anyway that are just really great, and then get into it. But it's it's kind of a long-term commitment. It's a rocky, not so much a rocky road, but it's a series of going up the mountain, down, back up, down, back up. It's not a smooth sort of
I feel like that's definitely
climb.
One of the parts of the industry that would be the most challenging is the idea from project to project. You're always finding your next path forward, but not always knowing where you'll be 5 years down the road. What was your path like, Karen?
Kind of the same as John, although I actually entered into a 3-year conservatory program in Montreal. I'm from Montreal. And so again, it's the same sort of thing. Like John worked in rep theater. I worked in a conservatory where it's like 24/7 for 3 years. And so I was building the foundation to be a very strong actor. and try all sorts of different parts. I'm learning the language of acting and theater, and I did stage management. I did all the other things to help the other years that were going there. So I was totally engulfed in that. And I find that, especially if a young actor is going to skip theater and they end up getting like a lead role or getting a role in something, they might not be able to sustain it if they don't have a good foundation, right? That they have to, sometimes you're on your own a lot and you have to make these kinds of decisions about what are right choices in your performance, and it's the theater background that will help you in that. And not only theater, but theater encompasses a lot of things, right? There's musical theater, there's drama, there's comedy, but there's also improv. And improv to me is an essential for all actors, because it's that aspect of a notion of being flexible, right? Because anything can come at you on set. You could give me a line reading one way, and then all of a sudden you change your mood, and it's like, oh, okay, we're going to go that way now, right? And you just go with it, and it's really interesting when you're flexible and you say yes a lot. So yeah, one of our children went into improv, and even if he didn't go, I mean, he did a little bit of acting too, but he's using it now in his life, right? All those skills about saying yes and experimenting and having fun. Yeah.
What do you take from being, this is my biggest jealousy of actors, is that you get to embody these characters, be they period pieces or just someone's imagination that they've created this amazing role. What do you take from wearing those different hats throughout your life? Does it?
Oh my gosh. I'll say, I mean, it's hard, maybe it's hard to tell with me right now, but I was very shy. I was a wallflower. I didn't go out with any boys in school. I kept to myself. I was very, very shy. And I couldn't do public speaking or anything like that. But when I enveloped a role, and it was one of those things like John, I was in college and I just auditioned for the heck of it. But once I got into that role and was the lead of this play, it was like Halloween. That's how I would describe it. It's like putting on a mask, putting on an outfit, a costume, and I don't have to be Karen anymore. And I get to like be free and say things I would never say, do things I would never do, discover things through another character, right? And one thing about character development as well is that you have to learn to like your characters, right? Because I could play a psychopath, which there's not everyone's a good character in these films or plays that you do. But if you don't know why, like the human kind of psychology behind someone, and know that how did they get to that, then you can't play them. You have to love them to play them, because everybody has a cause and effect as why they do the things they do, no matter what it is. So it's very interesting.
Yeah,
super interesting.
You're kind of forced to develop, because you have to like these characters, but you're forced to develop a kind of empathy, which is so important and quite frankly is lacking in our times right now.
That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, but you.
So stupid.
And I was like Karen too. I was very, very shy, like extremely shy. So it just allowed for a kind of a confidence. It doesn't mean like I'm great at public speaking, because you may know this better. I mean, that's a whole other, speaking in front of someone as yourself is a whole other thing. I get, at sometimes we're at an event or something when I'm asked to speak. I mean, I'm way more nervous doing that than I've ever been going on stage or on film. But having said all that, the notion of sort of analyzing a character, you're just forced to watch people a lot and really understand where people are coming from,
their perspective.
So even in Toronto, it's a great place. I ride the subway a lot, and Karen does too. But I'm always looking at people. They don't know I am, but I mean that's one of the great things, is that you have to develop this sort of bank of human behavior. And there's nothing like riding on a Toronto subway or a Toronto bus or streetcar just to observe behavior. So I'm always noting and taking when I get home, or take notes the odd time, because you have to live a little bit to be a good actor.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do that. You have to develop yourself. And you have to find your own voice. A musician has to find their own voice. You end up copying a lot in the beginning and imitating, but eventually you end up finding your own voice as an actor, as a musician does on their instrument.
We have a minute left, which is
Oh,
so
goodness.
sad.
It went so
I'm
fast.
officially inviting you back to be on another show I do called Good Day from the Bay with my co-host Jonathan, who went to National Theatre School, so he's going to be very excited. So I feel this
yeah.
invitation I must give now. But what is on both of your bucket list for our final minute? A project or an idea that's still something you'd like to do as an actor?
As an actor, well, I'd like to do a play here in town. I like to do something really with my husband. We've worked together before, and I like working with him. He's a very generous actor. I enjoy working with him. So wouldn't it be cool to actually bring something interesting here to St. Andrews?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done theater, but the life of a Canadian actor is just all about auditioning, and it's all. Sometimes we have this notion that you've got a stack of scripts. And I'm saying yes, no, it doesn't work that way. It may work for some people, some movie stars and whatever, but we're kind of like in there in the trenches and working. So you're kind of just, I'm just waiting, for the next audition to come along. And I just did one recently, but it was like, oh my goodness, those people. And they've done a great hit TV show and they're doing another one. So it's like, you don't know until, and then you have like 48 hours to sort of do this audition. So I'm just keeping it all open. And having said that though, I'm also really want to make something happen here in film and TV in the province, and if not, like in St. Andrews itself.
Definitely.
Well, I'm so excited to follow your journeys here, and so excited to have you back soon. Thank you so much for coming in today to share your stories with us.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
My guests today have been Karen Waddell and John Ralston. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.